Hey, what's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and today is Thursday, November 29th, 2018. And you know what that means. It is time for another issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie, the final one of November. We are almost into December. We've got Black Armory coming out next week, and the season of the Forge began this week. Suffice to say, there's a lot going on in the world of Destiny 2. We're going to be learning about a couple of things within this week's TWAB, including some more information about the new raid that's going to be dropping next Friday on December 7th, some of the changes to the power progression system that were introduced when Season of the Forge went live, and finally, we're going to be learning a bit more about that Veterans Bundle that Bungie talked about a couple of months back. Let's go ahead and dive on into it. First things first, if you haven't been plugged in at all this week, we did have Season 5 go live. We are officially out of the Season of the Outlaw, and we've moved into the Season of the Forge. Black Armory is of course dropping next week on Tuesday. And as a part of the update that we got this week, there's a lot of stuff that's changed within the game right now. We've got new pinnacle rewards that are available, some Black Armory gear is dropping a little bit earlier than expected, and there's plenty to talk about with the Queen of the Reef. Make sure you're staying tuned to the channel, where we've been covering all kinds of things that have been going on. But alright, for the TWAB here, we're starting off with one of the biggest bits of news from that Bungie Vidoc that we got earlier this week. And that was concerning the incoming raid as a part of Black Armory. There were some big surprises with this one. First things first, we know that it's taking place within a new section of the Last City. And along with that surprise, we now not only know the name of this raid, titled the Scourge of the Past, but we also know that this activity is indeed going to be a full raid experience and not a raid lair, as was previously reported way back in the day when we first started learning about the annual pass content. That's right, the TWAB directly addresses this within their section titled Scourge of the Past, where they go on to detail the differences between what they consider to be a full raid experience and a raid lair. Here's what they have to say. Lairs were extensions of an existing raid setting. Black Armory's Scourge of the Past doesn't fit that definition. It takes place in a new setting, tells its own story, and isn't related to the events of the Dreaming City, which hopefully clears up any confusion about whether or not the Scourge of the Past was going to be a traditional raid or a raid lair like what we got with Leviathan. Definitely glad they were finally able to put that one to rest. Finally, they state that Scourge will release on Friday, December 7th at 9 AM Pacific time. But here's the interesting part. Its recommended power level is 640, but there is no minimum power requirement. Any Guardian who owns the annual pass can drop into the space and explore. Good luck. This is actually something really interesting. It means any Guardian, regardless of level, as long as you own the annual pass in Forsaken, you can go into the Scourge of the Past raid. Now, I definitely wouldn't recommend that if you're like a Guardian who's sitting at power level 10 or something like that, but it's really cool. They're going to open up this world space so that anybody who owns the DLC, anybody who owns Forsaken and owns the Black Armory DLC is going to have access to this world space that they want to take time to explore. Definitely an awesome change, and I cannot wait for this thing to go live next week. I actually don't think we've had anything like this since the original raid space with the Vault of Glass way back in Destiny 1. Remember, the entrance to the Vault of Glass was actually tied to a public patrol zone on Venus. It was awesome because back in those days you could just be patrolling out on Venus and you might run into a group of 6 people trying to open up the door, build the spires and open their way into the Vault of Glass, and you were able to help them out with that and even go inside if you were brave and explore for a little bit. And I wonder if that's the sort of situation we might be having here with the Scourge of the Past. I think it's pretty obvious they're encouraging us to go exploring around within the Last City. But I just think it would be really cool if it wound up being like tied to a patrol zone that other people could, interact with. They could just come in and kind of help you with the first part of the raid. I always loved that about the Vault of Glass. And I don't know, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I'd love to see that sort of thing return. But speaking of power levels and the importance of them, we got some changes to powerful progression with the start of this new season. And so Bungie took the time to directly address the way power progression is going to change and stay the same with the Season of the Forge. Of course, alongside this new season, we got a brand new power level cap of 650. And as a part of that, all players of Destiny 2 Forsaken may reach power level 650, no annual pass required. This means as long as you own Forsaken, you can reach the power level cap by just doing your normal milestones, which is awesome. They're not locking people out of reaching max level just by not owning, the latest DLC with the annual pass. The new soft cap will remain at 500 power though, and players underneath 550 power should expect to see prime engrams more frequently and receive higher power bumps to help them reach in-game levels. Again, another cool change to help those Guardians who are trying to catch up to maybe some of their friends. Next, powerful reward sources will remain consistent for those who already own Destiny 2 Forsaken. And finally, there will be new powerful reward sources for those who own the annual pass. This is of course going to be the new content that's going to drop alongside the Black Armory, probably stuff like the Lost Forges, and whatever other pinnacle content's going to come along with that. But there we go. Hopefully that clears up some of the lingering questions about power progression in this new season. I know there are a few people who are confused about what exactly you needed to reach the new hard cap of 650, and it's great to see that all you need to own is Forsaken. You don't have to buy the annual pass in order to reach that hard cap. Hopefully they continue that with subsequent seasons, like when Joker's Wild comes out and they bump the power cap from 650 to 700, hopefully you'll still just have to own Forsaken. You don't have to buy anything in order to, reach that in-game power level. But alright, those are two of the big things in this week's TWAB. We have one more thing to talk about. A while back, we learned a bit about some veteran rewards that were going to be coming to Guardians in Destiny 2. Well, today we finally learned exactly when this is going to be happening. As previously promised, those of you Guardians who played Destiny 2 Forsaken before October 16th will receive the Veterans of the Hunt rewards. This includes a unique emblem, shader, and 2 emotes, which of course we get to see off right here. As you can see, we're going to get a consumable bundle, a new unique emblem, a new unique shader, and 2 exotic emotes, the coin flip emote as well as the knife trick emote. So those of you out there who are rocking the Dredge-In title can act a little bit more like the Drifter. We also got some information for when these rewards are going to be dropping. Originally, they were going to be dropping next week alongside update 2.1.1. But unfortunately, they're getting delayed a little bit to the update that's after that, Update 2.1.3 that is scheduled to release on December 18th. I know I've certainly had quite a few people out there asking me, hey, when are we getting the Veteran Reward Bundle? Well, there you go. Now you know it's dropping, at least tentatively scheduled to be released on December 18th with Update 2.1.3. And I'm happy to get it. These emotes look kind of cool. I know when they first showed off the Drifter, he's slowly become a lot of people's favorite new character alongside people like the Spider. And with all the cool little emotes that he has when he's starting off games, it was only a matter of time before we actually got a chance to utilize some of them, so I'm happy to see we got that there. Call me slightly elitist, but I love whenever they do these sorts of veteran rewards for people who have stuck with their game, so it's great to see that we're finally going to be getting that stuff. But alright, there we go Guardians, that's pretty much it for the biggest bits of news that were tied to this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. There are some other fixes and bits of news within this week's TWAB, so you should definitely go check it out if you're looking for specific bits of information. As usual, we'll have a link to that down in the description box below. But that's the biggest bits of things that we could cover this week. Alright, that's going to be it for this one, Guardians. That's the news. Those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But alright, that is going to be it for this one, Guardians. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty. Can't wait to see you in Black Armory next week.